This time I got a really old radio to work on. This one goes back to maybe 1959, 1960, 61, somewhere in there. It's old, 65 years old at least. And this one here, I haven't done anything with. We're going to pull it apart and just give it a quick restore before powering it up. Because the last thing we want to do is power up an old tube radio without changing out the old paper cap. So they got to go. Let's take a look at it. Found another old, very old Marconi AM radio. This is going to be a vacuum tube model. Came out of junk. This one's a model 447. And we're going to pop it apart and see what it what's in it. What radio is probably an AA5. I'm thinking it's an AA5 chassis. Could be wrong, but it's of the era when the AA5 was popular. It's got a Robertson screw on the back. That way we know it's made in Canada. Well, we know this one's made in Canada. The Robertson screw gives it away, but it says Marconi Canada on it, so it's a Canadian radio. Antenna on the back. One of the wires is bust off. We'll have to fix that. It is a 5-tube radio, and I haven't seen one of these chassis before. Wow, that's a little different. It's like, yeah, interesting. Let's get the knob off the front. It probably just pops off. And the same with the volume. We'll pop the knobs off. I'll pull the chassis. I need to see what caps are in this one, because we're going to have to change the caps for sure. But it does have to come off for sure. That's the problem when you're dealing with old plastic, is it gets brittle. And for sure the knob, I'm pretty sure this knob has to come off of this thing. These are the installation for the hot chassis that this one will certainly have. So you use plastic knobs because depending on what way you plug the AC cord in, the chassis itself could be directly connected to the AC power line. So it should be, I think, a couple more screws to hold this in place. Maybe this one down here. And I'll probably have to disconnect that speaker before I pull the chassis, because it's on the wires that are directly coming out of the transformer. So we'll disconnect the speaker first. I'll have to figure out where that antenna wire went. I think it went right to the tuner here. Pretty sure is where it goes. And right now I'm melting solder that probably has not been melted since the 1950s or early 60s, whenever this thing was made. I haven't looked it up to see what year it is, but it's an AA5. It's a transformerless radio. So it's I'm gonna guess it's probably mid 60s, early to mid 60s. That's what I'm gonna guess this one was made. It's probably got 50C5, 35W4, 12BE6, 12BA6, and 12 AV6, is it? I think it was AV6. BE6, BA6, and AV6. I think were the tubes. It's been so long since I've dealt with one of these things, but I still remember the 5 numbers that were used. We're going to replace all the caps just because, well, I'm sure it needs it. For sure, the main filter is going to be bad, but I'm sure all the coupling caps themselves, they also have to be done because, well, it's as old as the hills, as they say. Alright. How's that for a chassis? Have you ever seen a chassis like that? It's just one piece of stamped steel with holes cut in it for the tube sockets, and that is it. Wow. Really don't have a lot to do. It looks like that may have been changed at one point. That doesn't look like a paper cap. That one should be changed, and these two for sure. And I'll do this one. But I'm going to get the values of these and pick up some parts. So I need a 0.03. I might even have some of these. I gotta look and see what I've got. But if I don't have them, I'm going to make a trip down to the parts store. I'm probably going to go down there anyway because I'm getting I'm getting pretty low, so I gotta get solder. So I'm gonna make a trip down there today because I won't have a chance for another couple weeks if I don't. So I might as well take inventory and see what I might need for this, and pick them all up when I go down to get some solder. But other than the caps, I think the tubes are probably okay. Am I right? Was I right with the numbers? I'm pretty sure I was right. This one is the 35W4, I'm sure. Let's see here. Am I right? Oh, brother. Listen to this.
Activities on your account. You have placed an order of sex toys and porn movies. Address shortly. $1,599 will be billed from your Visa MasterCard tonight. If you have not placed this order, then please press 1 to talk to Amazon Fraud Department.
Fuck you. Scammers.
To place the order, thank you.
Scammers. Let's block this number. Actually, what happens if I press 1? What happens if I press 1? Will they answer? Let's play with these. Let's play with these. Yeah, I just got a call from you guys. What are you calling me about? Hello? I see. They just hung up. They just hanged up on me. This is my disposable number. So I give this one out to people. So this is the number that is public, that people know about. So I get all these scam calls. But you see, if I try to, how do I get out of this stupid? I don't want to see this ad. Let's get out of that. Get away from this. Close that down. This is my, say I use a service called Text Plus. It gives me a disposable number that surprise it. Get rid of that. How do I get rid of this thing? I don't pay them. That's why I have to look at ads. But let's phone this number back and see what it is, because it's a scam. It'll be disconnected.
The number you are trying to call is busy. Please try again later.
Yeah, sure it is. Sure it is busy. Well,
the number you are trying to call is busy. Please try again later.
That's what we deal with these people. You see, we go here. This call, we mark it as spam, and we will block it and report it as spam, so that number won't call me again. I get lots of those calls. Lots and lots of them. It's a, what's the number of this tube? This is the rectifier. 35C3. It's going to be similar to a 35W4, 35W4. There's 35C3 on this one. This was the amplifier tube, 50C5. It's 50 volt filament. See, the filaments are all in series on these. Anyway, let's see what caps we need. This is a 40 microfarad at 150 volts. So there's two 40 microfarads at 150. I know I won't have those. I'll have to get those for sure. Just take an inventory of what parts I need on this one, and then I'll see what I've got. But I know I don't have any 40s at 150. I might have some 3.3s at 450, but I don't have any 40s. It won't be a 40, but I definitely got to get those. Oh, well, you know, it does have the tubes listed on here, and I was right. Okay, I had the 35W4 wrong. It's 35C3, same thing. It's a rectifier. 50C5, 12AV6, 12BA6, and 12BE6. It's an AA5, is what this chassis is. But they're all original Marconi Canada tubes. Made in Canada. 100%. Gotta love it. Okay, the 0.03 is going to be replaced by 0.033. Look at the size difference between that and that. It's the same capacity, but a huge difference in size. Going from a paper cap to a, oh, look at that one. It fell right apart. That one was just shot. Look at that. It just broke. You think it's electrically leaky? Yes, it is. For sure. That's a 0.0. That's a 0.05. We're gonna or 0.005. I'm gonna put a 0.0047. I know I've got one here somewhere. The only other one I've got to do is this little picofarad one. I might just leave that one alone. I don't know. This is part of the tuning circuit, so it's kind of critical. I got the exact size, and I don't have the exact size. I've got a 220, and this is a 250. And because it's in the tuning circuit, I think I'll just leave that one alone. As far as the big paper cap goes here, well, we're just going to replace that with 2 electrolytics. I'm just going to mount them below the chassis here. These are 47 microfarad at 160. So we'll just put the 2 negatives together because it's common. Negative is common. And we're going to hook that up to the black wire, and then the other 2 to the red and the yellow wires. And I'll cut them off, and I'm going to mount this on the bottom of the chassis here. I think is where I'll put this. I won't bother cutting the black wire. I'll leave that one intact to attach this to, and then we'll just cut the other wires and tie them down and put the heat shrink tubing. I guess it's heat shrink, or is it just rubber? It might just be a rubber, but we'll just put heat shrink tubing on there to secure them to the wires. Actually, I could probably put that right to that terminal right there. And the red wire, where does it go? I think it goes up to the transformer. That red wire come around here. It's the B plus. Go right off the rectifier. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I'll just stick these 2 together. I'm going to attach one of them right directly to here, so I can get rid of that yellow wire completely, and that'll hold this in place. And then the other wire, I can just attach it to the common. I can attach to here. I want to use the ground wire here just as a support to support these 2 caps on the bottom side here. So I'm just going to pull the rubber boot off. I don't need to disconnect the negative terminal from here because the 2 positive terminals will be disconnected. But I do want to keep the black wire here at least intact for securing this down to ground, or to the negative terminal, I should say. So that way I can just tack this one down. We'll just use this as the support for it. There. Okay, this one's now ready for testing. Got all the caps changed out on it. I'll install it back in the cabinet and then try it out. And say I'm not going to bother with this cap at this point. It's just in the tuning circuit, so it should be okay. We'll reconnect that antenna, get the chassis back in, hook up the speaker, and power it up. I'm just looking at the power cord. It doesn't look to be in too sad of shape. Some of them are a lot worse than that. Reconnect the antenna that broke off. This is almost feels like paper insulation. It's not. I don't think so, but is that a paper wrap? It could be. Anyway, I got the wire here. It's going to solder it back down to here on the tuner. Alright, the chassis goes back in like this. I like this little chassis. It's kind of cool. You know, it's a lot smaller than I expected. Just one little piece of metal, basically. There, that's better. I want to over tighten these because being the bakelite, I think this is bakelite, it'll break. It gets quite brittle. So we're just going to carefully put the screws in, reconnect the speaker, and we'll see what it does. It should work unless there's problems with tubes, which I have never really seen too many of these tubes. Well, I've got a 50C5 on one of my radios that's bad, but I've got a replacement for it. I just haven't got around to putting it in yet. I have one that's got an intermittent 50C5. Unlike before, I'm not going to twist the wires around here. It makes it easier to take them out if you just feed them through and solder them down. Yeah, they really wanted to keep people out of these things. This was back in the day when you went to the drugstore and you tested your tubes and you bought a new tube. And I remember radio scrap, we used to call them. They used to sell these tubes as a kit. They called it the AA5 kit. And you went to Radio Scrap and you bought the 5 tubes for like $9.95. I'm not kidding. I think that's how much they were. And they were the gold pinned tubes that had a lifetime warranty. And if they ever burned out, you went back and got another one for free. And I used to do that. To go back and get 35W4. 35W4 used to always burn out. That and the 50C5, but usually it was the 35W4 that went bad. And I'd go back to the local Radio Scrap, and they would give me a new one because they had their lifetime warranty. And I must have got a dozen free sets of tubes from them back in the day when they would just hand you a new tube. You didn't even have to show a receipt. All you had to do was walk in with the tube. As long as they could see that it was a Radio Shack tube, had their numbering on it, had their gold-plated pins, didn't even need a receipt. They just handed you a new one. Okay, power is on. This thing is lighting up, so we do have the filaments working anyway. We're going to get any sound. Nothing yet. Now we got sound.
So here's to the road, to the tracks that we blaze.
It works. nothing on AM. Got the news station here, wherever they are. Where is the news station? They're here somewhere.
Leaders calling for the recognition of a Palestinian state. Giving the Palestinians a state is like giving Al-Qaeda a state. 22,
I think he's beyond 22. He came out of the gate like on fire. But his process, speed, Calgary, what he did over there, 7 touchdowns in 12 series. Come on, yeah.
Third straight stuff. The biggest yesterday to receive a $50 discount at the neighbor's
Football
restaurant.
game's on.
An operated neighbor's restaurant.
1,000. Back at the badminton game, Donna Takchuk says she won't pay. No, I will not. She's a real man with significant disabilities. He's been coming to her family. Decades ago, his parents.
Has the little triangles here for, what was that, the Colorado, I believe it was. That was where, in the event of a attack, or any attack, I guess it was.
So fast paced, take your time.
I gotta fix that hum on that transmitter.
Underneath the neon lights we sway.
I don't know, is my adapter this bad, or I think it's just a bad ground on the antenna.
Mellow vibes in the air, can you feel the beat? A little weed rolling in makes the night complete.
Because I gotta fix it because I use it for playing around with my old radios and put music through them, but it's humming. I'll have to deal with that.
A little weed never hurt nobody. Just a little splash of life's sweet nectar.
You can almost picture listening to this type of music on a radio like this.
Be shy in this.
There we go, just change the frequency.
I'll sing it loud. A country rock anthem for the wandering crowd. Sitting by a fire with old friends around a joint in the air, the best vibes we found. The stories we're sharing, the dreams we let fly. Every pump's a memory, it's the reason why. Got a banjo playing softly with a whiskey in hand, feeling that groove, it's a truth we can stand. The world fades away in that smoky embrace. Lost in the music, yeah, we found our place. After consuming that taste, a lot like weed, I came up with this song. Yes, it's all I need. With every chord I strum, I let my heart spill, taking me higher. I'm climbing that hill underneath the moonlight.
Okay.
I'll sing it loud.
Oh, we got the year here. So 1942 to 1959 was the license for this. So gives you an idea gives you the idea of the vintage on this. It would be late 50s, I think. Guarantee. Even back then, people were expecting free delivery like they still do today. You say, nope, sorry. But yeah, it works. It's great. I set my little transmitter at 1600, which is as high as this goes.
That we wish could last in the warmth of the fire.
AM radio. It sounds really good.
With the taste of the night and the songs that we share, I found my true voice in the smoke laden air.
When I touch my camera tripod, it hums. Anyway, I think we're done. It's fixed. Couple caps. I've never seen one break like that before. But anyway, paper caps, right? They gotta go. Anytime you've got any of these tube radios with any of these metallized film or paper caps, they really have to be replaced. If you don't, first of all, it's going to affect the performance big time, but secondly, you run risk of burning out tubes, because if the capacitor goes electrically leaky, which is what happens, the bleach that they used on the paper when they wound these up, it's acidic and it breaks down the paper and turns the paper into a resistor. So then you get electrical leakage. Normally these are blocking the DC component from one stage to the next. When they break down, they go electrically leaky, and once they go electrically leaky, they can cause a bias to change on a tube, driving the tube into full conduction and red plating the tubes, and that's what burns tubes out. That's all these old AA5 radios back in the day when we were going to Radio Shack and buying the 5-tube kit, replacing all the tubes, and then 3 months later the rectifier tube was bad again, or the output tube was bad, like the audio output tube was bad. Well, it was all caused by caps going bad. And of course back then you went and bought the tube kit, or you went to the drugstore, you changed them. They were being done by the owners, and the owners were not trained in electronics. They didn't know anything about capacitors going bad. They just thought, oh, these are bad tubes that Radio Shack's selling, but hey, I'm getting them for free anyway. And you keep changing the tubes, and they'd run for a while and then die again. It was all caused by bad caps. But here, this is original tubes on this thing. They're original Marconi tubes, and this thing is over 60 years old. This is, if it was made in 59 or 1960, it'd be 65 years old. So this is between, I'm going to say between about 63 and 66 years old. It's working, and it's not sounding bad.
Lost in the echoes of a sweet refrain.
Fluorescent lights.
Yeah, I was the other day. I mean, it's been such a great addition to the team here. I mean, especially the defensive back end, having that presence back there, and he's been a great. Trying to improve on that, and I think that us as competitors, we just want to.
Getting some stirs. Anyway, that's it for this one, and thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.